Hello everyone, I'm Cole from the Kingdom, and today we're talking about my hopes for the next The Elder Scrolls game. Now, my biggest hope is that the game, comes out at some point. I think it's pretty important for the game's success that it be finished and released. But that's a thing, being finished is apparently optional these days, and is commonly pointed to as being one of the biggest problems in the industry. So that is a real concern here. Of course, Skyrim is famously buggy even after all the patches, but that's almost an inside joke about Bethesda games. However, that is certainly not an excuse. The bare minimum they need at launch is 1. The quests working the way they're supposed to, or at least being easily fixed by reloading or something. Games have a lot of numbers, so it is totally understandable that the computer sometimes gets confused about what it's supposed to do. The second thing is facial animations that don't give people nightmares. Okay, let's talk about Starfield. I've seen some mixed opinions on whether Starfield's facial animations were good or bad. It's very interesting to me that people can disagree so heavily. Compared to Baldur's Gate 3, which had a much lower budget but clearly superior facial animations. I don't know what happened here, and I'm not going to start throwing stones, but this is important. Some characters in Starfield really do give me uncanny valley feelings, which is rare for me. I think I figured out some of the problems. 1, I think they move their eyebrows too much and sort of move their head or eyes sporadically. 2, I really hate the zoom in they do for conversations. I didn't like Oblivion either. Not that Skyrim had the perfect solution, but they can do better than this. And 3, you guys can tell me if I'm off base here, but does it seem like their eyes aren't focused on anything? In Baldur's Gate 3, you get the feeling they're focusing on the opposite character, like they're a real mortal in a conversation. Starfield looks, I guess, like they're robots? Though I've seen robots in other games that don't have that problem. I don't know. Okay, so the game needs to launch with functional quests and have better facial animations. I might even prefer less lifelike over Uncanny Valley. I think Skyrim was fine. Pretty sure Fallout 4 was okay too, but I didn't play it on principle. Now let's talk about world and story and stuff. The game is probably going to be set in either Hammerfell or High Rock. I like both settings, so I don't mind either way, but they lend themselves to different stories and mechanics. High Rock has great potential for intrigue plots and magical mysteries, and I deeply want a climactic fight at the top of Adamantine Tower. But Hammerfell has more wide open space to place individual events in, so like a variety of small stories, which I really like. I look at Assassin's Creed Origins as proof that Hammerfell can have varied environments and unique characters and stories. Plus, to the last of my knowledge, they're still resisting the Aldmeri Dominion, and they have pirates. Freedom fighters, mercenaries, pirates, ancient temples in the desert and jungle. We got a game here. But let's talk about RPG mechanics. Baldur's Gate 3 has been a massive success, and whenever a game is that successful, I get 2 fears. 1, that developers will copy many aspects of the game, not understanding why they worked there. Like, a game could take Baldur's Gate 3 conversation and relationship mechanics, but if the characters don't have as much depth and personality as they did there, then it's all for naught, and would arguably make the game worse. The second fear I have is that they won't learn from it and insist they know what gamers really want. I'm less concerned about that in this case, but good God, do some game companies not understand their target audience, and refuse to learn from the most obvious case studies. So RPG stuff. Number 1, characters that are not cardboard. That's probably my biggest problem with the Elder Scrolls. Most of the characters are just nothing. I mean, there are exceptions like Serana and Brynjolf, but the vast majority of characters aren't compelling. That's why one of my favorite mods of all time is interesting NPCs. Bethesda can learn a lot from that mod. Other favorites include Mirai, the girl with the dragon heart, and Serana Dialogue expansion. I mean, seriously, these are amazing. And then there's the voice acting. Look, not all of it is bad, but come on, a lot of it is. And moreover, the repeated voice actors in Skyrim drive me nuts. Every city has the same 8 voice actors, and they don't even have the same accents. You got the guy who says, "May the gods watch over your battles, friend," and "You've been a good friend to me. That means something." Yeah, can we not have that in the next game? I mean, I don't mind repeated voice actors, but there are things you can do to disguise how often you're reusing them. Like, you can have more generic voices, or at least similar accents. But because the voices are so distinct from each other, and you repeat them in every location, you really start to recognize them. So anyway, we got characters with three-dimensional personalities and improved voice direction. Another big thing that bothers me in Skyrim is how small the cities are. I don't expect them to make cities with hundreds of people or anything, but there are things you can do to create the illusion that they're bigger than they are. Other games have done this well. So yeah, bigger feeling cities. And now some other features I'd like to see. I like base building mechanics, and I really liked the idea they used in Skyrim of personally recruiting new members of the Blades. The problem with that was that you couldn't actually ask your followers what they thought of it beforehand, and also they wanted you to kill Parthenax, which nobody wanted to do. So if we do get another faction that we personally can recruit members for, like we can in certain mods, that would be nice. But add more to it. Also, the marriage system in Skyrim was pretty dumb, so please improve that. I don't have the time right now to talk about how I think that should be done. That's worth a whole video, so I'll just leave it there. Combat is fine, I guess. I imagine whatever modern concepts they'll have in the next game will be decent. I don't expect anything amazing, but it'll be serviceable. I'm not too worried about that. Though I'll say combat systems in certain Bethesda games are... But magic. Yeah, Skyrim's magic was pretty basic. I trust they'll make it more interesting. Again, not too worried there. The leveling system could use some fine-tuning too. So let's go back over that list. We got quests that function the way they're supposed to. With so many quests in Bethesda games, bugs are pretty much inevitable, so at least the main quest and major faction quests need to work as intended, at launch. By the way, we need more options to refuse certain quests and remove them from the quest journal, like the Daedra quests. And/or we need options to oppose whatever they want to do. Have better facial animations. Characters with personality. I don't expect every NPC to have something special, but if you can sprinkle them in like interesting NPCs, that goes a long way. Improved voice direction, cities that feel like cities, guild building mechanics. This is more of an optional thing for me, but if they do include any base building and character recruitment, I hope they spend some time making it as good as it can be, instead of just tacking it on like they did with marriage in Skyrim. And the final thing on the list is a better marriage system. And friendship system too, now that I think of it. Also, some kind of built-in co-op would be nice, but I wouldn't say it's required. So that about does it for now. If you like this style of video, let me know in the comments, and leave a like. I'd love to do more of this kind of thing. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment and like. I'll see you later.